It appears that humanity's future is uncertain. It's difficult to see our species with much optimism because of the rapid climate change, political polarization, our greed, and other flaws, and so many people believe that our extinction is imminent. But people have always believed that they were living in the last days. Every generation believes they are significant enough to see the end of the world, and then life goes on as usual. This is an issue because it encourages short-term thinking and keeps us from building the best possible world for both ourselves and our progeny. The fact that we might truly be living in a very crucial period in human history only makes this situation worse. Let's examine humanity's temporal window to better comprehend why by asking when and how many people there will ever be. Please treat these kinds of estimations with a huge grain of salt because they are rife with uncertainty. Let's look at the number of individuals who have previously lived to get an idea of how many there will be. About 200,000 years ago, modern humans first appeared. Beyond their immediate family, they excelled at creating tools, telling stories, thinking abstractly, organizing, and cooperating in huge groups. Even so, we weren't very numerous. Food surpluses were scarce, it was difficult to survive, and the life expectancy was low. We reached a population of 2 million after 150,000 years. The agricultural revolution, possibly the biggest change in human history, resulted through gradual advancements. At this point, our membership really began to increase. 300 million people weren't reached for 10,000 more years. But the Industrial Revolution eclipsed that growth. There were 1 billion of us in 1,800. The population of the world doubled in just 120 years, then did so again in 50. We number about 8 billion people today. Over the past 2,000 years, over 117 billion people have been born, lived, and passed away. This indicates that 7% of all people who have ever lived are still alive today. As many people exist today as existed over the first 150,000 years of human history. 270 new babies join the celebration every minute. But it's not just that there are more people. We're also healthier, wealthier, and living longer than ever before. Our fertility rates fell as living standards rose. The UN predicts that we will reach our population peak in the year 2100, and that there will be 125 million births every year. Although it is highly improbable that birth rates will remain constant forever, let's presume they will in order to simplify our thought experiment. The date of the extinction of our species will determine how many people there will be in the future, and a lot of uncertainty are present here. We can kill ourselves with our own inventions, but we can also come up with ways to reduce the chance of a major catastrophe. We have developed nuclear weapons in addition to being able to redirect the course of planet-destroying asteroids. We developed antibiotics, but we also quickly spread diseases over the world. Our industrial system raised our standard of living dramatically while also transforming the environment. It is difficult to predict if human inventiveness would increase or decrease the lifespan of our species. If things don't work out, we can die abruptly. But if we can avoid it, we might be able to continue existing for a very long period. Therefore, every day we avoid annihilating ourselves could save an incalculable number of people's lives. How many individuals are we referring to? It depends on the rate of expansion of our species. Never will humans abandon Earth. Scenario 1. The extinction rate of species that we know about from the fossil record is a useful indicator to consider. If we remain on our home planet, mammalian species have a lifespan of around 1 million years on average, while some have been known to live up to 10 million years. Homo erectus, a close relative of ours, lived for around 1.9 million years. Using a modest estimate of a human lifespan of 1 million years, this gives us 800,000 more years to idly buy. There are approximately 100 trillion humans waiting to be born, assuming a consistent birth rate of 125 million people annually. more than 850 times as many as all persons who have ever lived. Thus, the current population would represent just 0.008% of all human beings who have ever lived. Where does it leave you, you ask? It would indicate you were living at the very beginning of something significant, rather than putting you at the conclusion of the disorganized jumble that was our past. Rather than the conclusion, the beginning of the human saga. This feels so very different, doesn't it? Now take into account that this may be a wildly optimistic estimate. The number of humans who will live in the future increases to 1.2 quadrillion if we live as long as the most successful mammals. Even this seems to fall short of our potential. Earth will continue to be livable for about 500 million years as the sun gradually gets hotter and brighter, providing countless more prospective humans the chance to become actual humans. Now let's start thinking broadly. Scenario 2. People will depart from Earth. Who knows how much further we can advance if we can go from worshipping the moon to walking on it? Ideas that are currently considered absurd will be taken seriously if we don't perish within the next few hundred years. We might colonize distant planets or create our own artificial worlds if humans think we have a possibility of living for perhaps millions of years. 3 things are necessary for life: a surface, resources, and energy. We could support many times our existing population thanks to the energy that our sun will provide for billions of years, as well as the abundance of water and other materials that are floating in the asteroid and Kuiper belts. We could choose to create our own artificial worlds and homes rather than residing on other planets. With so much resources and energy available, we could experiment with various societies and lifestyles. Even if it just lasted for a few million years, an interconnected society that spread throughout the solar system would provide a foundation for an absurdly large number of people, orders of magnitude more than if we stay on Earth. Science fiction frequently depicts the future as being bleak and terrible, but that need not be the case. With quadrillions of individuals awaiting birth, we will have billions of physicians devoted to the fight against cancer, billions of thinkers dedicated to eradicating poverty, and billions of video game creators dedicated to making life enjoyable. More people could lead to greater advancement. Another benefit of leaving Earth and expanding is that it will be far more difficult for humanity to go extinct, as it would take a solar system-wide catastrophe to wipe us out. Thus, barring nearby supernovae or gamma-ray bursts, humanity would likely survive for billions of years without extinction. If we are able to endure for so long, gradual evolution or genetic engineering may create new species from us, or we may choose to remain just as we are now. Therefore, moving forward will just refer to people as opposed to humans to account for it. Okay, let's think very broadly now. Scenario 3. Individuals depart the solar system. Even though the solar system is huge, there are billions of other star systems in the Milky Way. We can expect about 100 octillion lives to be lived in the future if future civilizations can inhabit, say, 100 billion stars and dwell there for 10 billion years while producing 100 million births each year. This is a 1 followed by 29 zeros, 100,000 trillion. This can be spun around as much as we like. When the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy unite, there will be an additional trillion stars for humans to inhabit. Up to 1 trillion years, the red dwarfs can continue to function, and future civilizations may even obtain energy for their dwellings near black holes. Our descendants' civilization, if sufficiently sophisticated, might even attempt to contact neighboring galaxy groups. Although these figures are astounding, they may vastly underestimate the number of unborn children. 1 trillion potential lives are obtained by dividing the total amount of energy present in a galaxy by the typical energy requirements of a single human. Potentially 1 million, trillion people. Conclusion: hopefully, it is now clear that practically all humans who will ever exist will live in the future if we don't kill ourselves in the next few decades or millennia. which brings us here, in the here and now. We are at the pinnacle of human development, with limitless sociological, environmental, and technical potential. For all the people who do not yet exist, everything we do matters. Therefore, even though it is not fashionable to think positively or even to contemplate about humanity's long-term destiny, perhaps this has helped you get some perspective. So many people might not exist if we mess up the present. We are responsible for quadrillions of unborn people. The unborn are by far the largest group of people and the most disenfranchised, even if we use very modest figures. Someone who may be alive in 1,000 or maybe 1,000,000 years will be extremely dependent on us now. It matters what we do today, which is why it is necessary to consider the distant future and why our presence is so significant. The final person will give birth one day. When is unknown. But if we shift our perspective from seeing ourselves as being at the end of the human tale to seeing ourselves as being at the very beginning, we can create a great environment that benefits not just us and them, but also countless numbers of other people. Share our videos on social media and tell your friends and family. Thank you for watching.